Today is Tuesday, August the 31st, and what we saw in the market was above average volume for the Dow and for the S&P, a little bit low in the NASDAQ, but all of the indexes were down. Advancers nonetheless led decliners, but that leaves our McClellan oscillator, as we thought, just chopping here in this middle range between neutral and between overbought. And I expect we're going to see more of that, just like we saw in here, before we take a turn downwards. Although we did make a higher high in the McClellan oscillator, I still think it's going to go down before it gets up into the overbought area. But if you look at the charts, the Dow Jones today pulled back, still off of its high, which was August the 16th. The NASDAQ made a new high yesterday, reached that point, and then new closing high. Didn't quite reach the top of its high yesterday, and then pulled back a little bit. And the SPX, very same thing as the NASDAQ. The volatility index moved up just a tiny bit, but it's still in that complacent range. Apple pulled back after this big day tomorrow. I think it's just reloading. I think it's going higher. Caterpillar, which we're watching closely for an opportunity to buy, did it touch our did it touch the bottom of the Senku span? No, it didn't, but it came close. And if we get an alert saying that it touched that, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to dip into that. IBM had a decent day. Look at that, stopped right at the bottom of the cloud. Didn't even make it up to the 50 moving average. The cloud was more important. And if you draw a horizontal line here, you see that the Chiku span also had resistance right at the bottom of that candle, right at the bottom of that wick. If we zoom in there, you can see right there. So the Chiku span is really important. Now, the reason I show the same stocks over and over again is so that you can apply the same type of analytics or technicals to the stocks that you're following. Notice how the cloud is very important. Notice how the Chiku span is responding to candles 26 days back. Those are the things you want to watch. The stochastic momentum indicators are a good thing as well. They both show that IBM is just finishing a downward trend but should be moving higher. NIO, resistance on the 200, but look at where the Chiku span stopped. We've been watching the Chiku span for some time. The Chiku span stopped right at the 200 because that's where it met the cloud. So when two things like that happen, they're going to become a magnet for the technical traders that are trading with algorithms. There was selling that went on because the 200 moving average and the cloud intercepted 26 days back from today. Believe it or not, this is how it works. SAVA went over the 200 and then pulled back, but it's the volume that we're looking at. The volume was a little bit lower than yesterday. I really think that the selling might be done with, although the slow moving stochastic says the selling isn't over. The faster moving stochastic says that the selling is overdone in the short term. So it should be moving higher, but there will be another correction downwards before the longer term stochastic does its turn around. And Square sits ending right up there on the 8 EMA, again, with not a lot of volume. So it's just typical trading. There is no action in that stock. AT&T moved up a little bit. It certainly has fallen out of this range that we've been looking at that goes back to July, but it's trying to get back into that range. It's fallen down. Anything else we want to look at? Banks were mixed. JP Morgan was down. US Bank, and I always show them because they're a regional bank. JP Morgan is the largest of the top four banks. US Bank is the fifth largest bank, but it's the largest regional bank. And look at how important the cloud was there, where you got trading support at the bottom of the cloud. It overshot the 50, but the cloud was support. Anything else we want to show? CVS up $2.10. CVS broke out of its cloud here on the Chiku span. broke out of the cloud on price. If you like CVS, this would be a time to buy. It's heading up towards, let me just put that in there, it's heading up towards retesting that high of $90. And that's all I'm going to show today. I still think that the market is going to chop. The Dow Jones is playing between the 50 and this high. The NASDAQ is well off the 50, but is getting resistance on this high. And the S&P also well off the 50, getting resistance. Could be slowing down. The McClellan oscillator continues to tell us that we're going to see chop and probably a flattening of the S&P as we start the last month of the quarter.